Hi everyone, it's Tawney. In today's video, I want to talk about something that I find really interesting. So lately I've been reading up on a lot of brands that have gotten themselves into a bit of a dilemma. They've said something, done something, they've shown their true selves. I mean, we're talking the people behind these brands, and it got me really thinking, what brands out there have actually done that to themselves, where they've done something so controversial, they've said something horrible, they've done something that people are not happy with, and now they're getting canceled for it, and now they are kind of falling behind. People aren't buying their makeup, people aren't supporting them, they're not following the people behind them on YouTube, they're not being as involved with the brands on social media as a whole. We're kind of letting them fall aside, and I think it's really interesting to talk about what happened with those brands and why that happened. I'm definitely going to do a part 2 of this. I had like a ton of brands that I wanted to talk about, but then I realized that would make this video like 2 hours long. And that's a long video to edit for me. So I figured I'd break it up into a couple parts and do like a featured, set of videos. So that way it would give you guys something more to watch, something more for me to film, and be a little bit less time consuming, even though it would space it out a little bit between videos, you know what I mean? So I wanted to talk about some brands that have canceled themselves for some reason or another. So first up, I want to talk about the brand P. Louise. So P. Louise is run by a woman named Paige, and this woman had been known for coming out with some really innovative eye-based products. She came out with eyeshadow primers that allowed the eyeshadow to stay really well, to wear for a long time. They were in different colors, they were in different skin tones, and were very inclusive for a lot of different makeup users. A lot of people talked about the brand. The brand was very well known for those eyeshadow primers. They had other products within their makeup line, such as eyeshadow palettes, but their main focus was the primers, and a lot of people really respected the brand and really liked the brand. In 2019, P. Louise had gone to a Drake concert with some of her friends and her boyfriend, and there was an Instagram video taken of her where she was singing along to a song and had singing along with the N-word. Now, if you do not know, Paige is not Black. She is white. And as you can tell, there's a problem with that. And a lot of people took problem to this as a whole. People were not happy with this. So there was a lot of backlash on Paige for doing this, which then in turn caused the brand to receive a lot of backlash. And Paige's statement was that everyone at the concert was doing it and she got caught up in the moment and she just wasn't thinking about it. Then she said, "I don't expect forgiveness from people who have looked up to me. I don't expect people to even continue supporting my brand, but please understand my heart is pure and I would never intentionally hurt anybody." Well, then not long after this, the brand came out with the Canceled collection. And this collection got a lot of flack from a lot of people because they felt like it was just her way of laughing at the situation, her not taking it seriously, her not understanding the severity of the situation as a whole, and really taking accountability for what she had done and owning up to that accountability, I would say. And the Canceled collection had a lot of phrases on the packaging. You'll be able to see the picture up here in the top. And she was kind of poking fun. And that would be an okay thing to do if you weren't a brand who was being canceled at the time. But when they came out with this collection, a lot of people were very angry about this. And this really kind of sealed the deal on not buying from P. Louise at this point anymore. People were kind of just done. And I know P. Louise has put out various eyeshadow palettes and done other things, but they've really been pushed aside by a lot of people that you don't really hear about the brand anymore, and you wouldn't know about them unless you actually knew them from a couple years ago. So P. Louise's response with this Canceled collection, they had said, "Designed and created as not only a revolutionary collection in the makeup industry, but as a message to people of all ages regarding the toxicity and devastation social media can cause. Despite the positives of social media, the impact of the negatives can be destroying to a person, which is something we just wanted to highlight with this launch. Being an influencer is everybody's dream job right now. Looking glorified on Instagram is the dream for some. But whilst influencing has its benefits for being in the limelight, the negatives soon engulf the positives. Being P. Louise, every move I make is criticized and judged. I live my life center stage. Being known online has its risks, and there will be people whom want the worst for you, and that's the sad consequence of success. I will build my empire on the bricks people have thrown at me. A percentage of all their profits were said to be donated to Ditch the Label to support their work in tackling cyberbullying. And I'm not sure how much they had actually donated. I couldn't find any information about this. At least they were donating to charity, but at what cost? You know what I mean? You should have just donated and made up for your mistakes and made a post talking about your problems and what you had done that was wrong. And instead they kind of just mocked that. And I think a lot of people really found offense to that. And the next brand I want to discuss also had a lot of issues that the members of the community that supported them and bought from them really could not overcome. So, Lime Crime. I wanted to give you a little history of the brand because there are a lot of incidences leading up to the main problem, and I thought those were all fairly important to getting a vibe as to what the brand is all about. Some people don't know that Lime Crime has issues. Some people don't know the backstory of the brand. They don't know how the brand became Lime Crime or how they became the successful brand that they had been at one point. And I think it's important to showcase that so people have a better understanding. So in 2004, Lime Crime was a fashion label launched on eBay. The original Lime Crime label was labeled more as like punk aesthetic and very Lolita inspired, very like baby doll-ish, and lots of pinks, but still very grunge in a way. The clothes were designed and handmade by Xenia Vorotova. I am sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but she is also known as Doe Deer. So that's what I'm going to be referring to her as. The rest of the segment is Doe Deer. And this was one of the many scandals for Lime Crime. This kind of started the whole gist from the get-go, and we found that this is not the only issue that we've seen from this brand. Doe was caught copying designs from Shrinkle, another brand on eBay, which is owned by Amy Doan, who owns Sugar Pill Cosmetics, which that's just kind of, you know, interesting information to throw in there. So then in 2006, the second design stealing controversy occurred. Lime Crime left their bright look for a more toned down and pastel look. People noted the similarities in the clothing designed by Supania. Many fans boycotted Lime Crime fashion on eBay, and that was kind of the end of the fashion. And Doe then switched over to makeup or music, which, if you're getting the hint, kind of ties along with another person we're going to talk about in this video, which you won't be surprised when you hear who that is. So in 2008, Doe renamed herself to Doe Deer at that time and began her music career in the disco pop genre. Quite popular at the time, but still a little off. At the time, it was a lot of like electro pop, very like upbeat and like heavily edited music. And while her music career was short-lived, Doe began the Lime Crime cosmetic line that we all are very familiar with and popular with and know to this day. Lime Crime Cosmetics launched in October of 2008 with a collection of loose pigments and glitters in bright shades and different colors. They were one of the first brands to begin the unicorn trend, which we have seen in Too Faced mostly. In 2009, members of the indie beauty community accused Lime Crime of repackaging cheap mica pigments and reselling them at a much higher rate. Lime Crime has never opened up about this incident, but many fans still are very upset about this problem and still find it an issue. In 2010 was the first of the start of beauty problems Lime Crime had. At this point, they're more into makeup, so all their problems are going to be related to the makeup and kind of who Doe Deer is as a person. I think that kind of really hurt their image. Temptalia, who is a big influencer when it comes to beauty blogging, but Temptalia does a lot of like beauty reviewing. She does a lot of like reminiscing on makeup. If you have any like information you want to know about a makeup brand or a product from like 10 years ago, Temptalia is like the website and the person to go look after for that information. So she's very well known. So Temptalia reviewed Lime Crime's lipsticks and gave them a C- score, saying that they were very dry and did not sit well on the lips and just didn't look very good. And it was a typical review, something you'd see from a YouTuber or a reviewer of makeup, that the product just wasn't good and this is my opinion. Well, Doe got very upset about this and reached out to her fans and asked her fans to go after Temptalia and harass her. As a result of all of this, Doe ended up giving out Temptalia's personal email address and asked customers to email her and tell her how great her lipsticks really were. In 2012, Doe was accused of cultural appropriation when she created her China doll palette. The makeup palette featured an image of a white model dressed as an Asian stereotype with very heavily done makeup, reminiscent of what a China doll would look like. And naturally, a lot of people were very upset with this. A blogger named M-A-I, called out Lime Crime for this, and Doe responded that she wasn't appropriating because appropriation wasn't a thing and that there was nothing wrong here. So a lot of people were very upset at how ignorant her response was and how she didn't seem to understand why people were upset about this. In 2014, Lime Crime was picked up by Sephora to be sold in their stores, but this only lasted a few weeks due to customer complaints. Urban Outfitters also began to carry the brand and still does currently. Lime Crime also filed a lawsuit against the blogger behind the website Doe Dear Lies, claiming damages due to defamation and lost sales. The website was taken down, but many others spawned in its place and took over where the Doe Dear's Lies left off. Also in 2012, in late 2012, we have the biggest scandal of Lime Crime that most people very well are aware of. And this was when the website was hacked. So the hackers stole lots of information that were, the hackers stole lots of personal information from people who had bought from the brand. And as a result of this, lots of people were very upset by this. Rather than notifying the customers, Lime Crime reached out on Instagram and informed customers of this issue and just kind of made it like a general notice that, hey, our website's been hacked. Sorry, don't know what to tell you. It wasn't until sometime later that emails were actually sent out, but by this time, customers were upset by the response and were kind of just fed up. You know, Lime Crime hadn't done anything about the issue, so it was clear that they didn't really care about the customers. In 2015, the FDA sent Lime Crime an official warning letter due to the red velvet shade of the brand's Velveteen lipstick, which contained 2 ingredients. I don't know how to pronounce these ingredients, which are not allowed to be in makeup. Fans were upset yet again at the lack of accountability the brand took with this. Many claim that they asked the brand about these ingredients for months, only to be blocked, banned, or ignored completely. Lime Crime stated that this was just mislabeling and the issue was resolved quickly. In 2017, Lime Crime was picked up by several large retailers such as Bloomingdale's and Ulta. During this time, Lime Crime was in the middle of settling a class action lawsuit with customers who had money stolen during the data breach. Lime Crime was legally required to improve their online security, which, assuming to this day, is still up to par where it's supposed to be, where it can protect people's data and personal information. Coming as a shock to many, in 2018, Doe Dear sold Lime Crime. She continued to serve on the board of directors with her husband, but as of 2020, they are no longer affiliated with the company. So essentially, Doe Dear kind of tore this company down. Still, to this day, lots of people and lots of fans aren't able to support Lime Crime because they're so aware of the past issues that they just don't feel... They're a little concerned that it could happen again because if it happens once, it could happen twice. And they just don't feel very secure in supporting this brand, knowing all the issues they had in the past. And I also wanted to mention, I wrote it in my notes because I found it after I took all my notes, that there was also an image you will see here where Doe had posted a picture dressed up as Hitler and claimed that she wasn't a racist in, you know, previous discussions and posts and whatnot. Yet there was a post that got pushed around social media of her dressed as Hitler. So lots of people were pretty upset about this. They, you know, found fault in this and said, like, how can the owner of a company support such drastic, horrible people and things that were done? Next up, I want to talk about Tati Beauty, which is the most current, I would say, downfall of a brand. Not to say that it's quite a downfall. It's just kind of, you know, this has happened and this is why the brand is no longer, you know, in production. So 2019, Tati started her brand, Tati Beauty. And the first product was the Textured Neutrals Volume 1 palette. I have that sitting right here. I can show you all. I love this palette. I am very impartial because I am a big Tati fan. I have to say I really like her videos. I really like the quality of the content she puts out. And at the time, I really liked her eyeshadow palette formula. I think this is a really nice palette. It has a lot of nice colors and a different like layout than we're used to seeing. It has the glitters and the metallics and the shimmers, and I just feel like it's a really good palette. Unfortunately, this was the only palette we were received from Tati. In 2020, Tati then launched the Blendiful, which was a makeup application tool that was meant to replace a beauty blender. Less than a month after the release, fans were complaining of their puffs ripping after being used and after being washed in the washing machine, which was also listed on the instructions from Tati Beauty, like on the box of the product or however it came in the packaging. Tati was then accused of lying about some people's experiences in order to gain clout when they reached out to her to get some sort of report. She thought they were lying. She thought they were giving misinformation, and they were just trying to call her out just to become, like get their name out in the air and get kind of, people talking about them. Tati then made a video regarding these issues and just kind of said that there were no issues. There were no longer any issues. She didn't know how people were doing this to the product, that it wasn't actually working right for them. She's like, I've done this and there's no problems. I don't know what's wrong with your product, but it's not wrong with my product, so you must be dreaming. Like, it was kind of a poor response when people were saying their product was ineffective. Like, you should be giving them the money back. You should be looking into it. You should be at least trying to figure out how it happened and prevent it from happening further. But that's beside the point. I also would like to mention a little incident that happened in this meantime, because I feel like it's very crucial to the story of the closing of Tati Beauty as a whole. So in 2019, James Charles attended the popular music festival of Coachella. If you've never heard of Coachella, you are like seriously living under a rock, because this was like the biggest story ever. Like, everybody knows about this, but I feel like it's still crucial, so I'm going to mention it in case you guys don't know. So James Charles needed a VIP pass as he was being bombarded by fans and just didn't feel safe at the venue. So he reached out to Nikita Dragon, who is also another YouTuber here on YouTube who does makeup. I mean, obviously they're a YouTuber if they're on YouTube. And he was looking to do a sponsorship for Sugar Bear Hair in order to get the VIP ticket. So she hooked him up, and he posted a sponsored Instagram story promoting the brand, which at the time was a competitor for Tati's brand, Halo. Now, Halo has different types of vitamins. They do hair, skin, and nails. There's one for just like women's health, men's health. It's just a vitamin brand. That was kind of, Tati released this brand. Everybody was thinking it would be cosmetics. It wasn't. And then we got the cosmetics. So it kind of took us a little bit longer, but this was sort of the beginning of Tati's branding as a whole, of her really putting herself out there and making a name of herself within products that people can use to promote online. So Tati got really upset about this and posted a video to YouTube titled Bye Sister. Tati claimed that James was just not there for her the same way that she had been there for him, and that he was just full of bad behavior, couldn't get himself together, couldn't grow up and be an adult. He was still under that kid mindset and was very immature. Tati claimed that James tried to use his fame in order to find a boyfriend, ignoring the fact the person may or may not have been gay at the time that they were dating James. Tati accused James of misconduct of the, nature, if you catch my drift, and said that he shared explicit details about his life with her, and it made her very uncomfortable hearing these things because they are quite disturbing to her. James then posted a video in response, apologizing to Tati for what he had done. Jeffree Star got involved then and backed all of Tati's claims, saying that was 100% true. He was a terrible human being, and everything she was saying was the truth, which was quite weird at the time. A lot of people found that to be really confusing. Like, we all knew at the time James was a very outgoing person. If you kind of I'm trying not to say the word, but he was a very outgoing person, and his personality was very out there. And I feel like a lot of people just kind of associated that with James, but then they started to realize that oh, this isn't okay. Like, they're calling him out for stuff that's not okay at all. So several weeks went by, and Tati then posted a video apologizing to James for everything she had said publicly and said that she was taking a break from YouTube. James then, in response, posted his No More Lies video where he showed receipts of his conversation with Sugar Bear Hair, as well as attempts to reach out to Tati without getting any response in return. Jeffree Star then made a video called Never Doing This Again, where he said he regretted attacking James and saying what he did. In 2020, a member of Halo Beauty's team, Clark Swanson, filed a lawsuit against Tati. Swanson claimed fraud, negligence, and breach of fiduciary duty from People magazine. That was their statement. This lawsuit is still ongoing to this day and has not been resolved at this point. Tati is still, embedded in legal drama and legal fees and has moved out of her LA home up to Seattle to, from what I've read, cover the cost of this whole dilemma that they're going through. In November of 2020, Tati officially announced that Tati Beauty would be closing for good. She stated that the pandemic had hit the business hard, as many other brands have experienced, but many think it is due to the ongoing lawsuit behind Halo Beauty, which I can understand takes a lot out of a person when you're going through that much, when, someone who's supposed to be a friend and a business person and kind of in with you in this whole experience attacks you and comes after you, whether or not it's, rightful or not, it's still very hard on you. And I understand her needing to take a step back and focus on that whole situation. It's still kind of just sad personally for me to see the brand that we all kind of really liked just fizzle out and be no more when we were so excited for it. Like, everybody was so excited to see what Tati had because she was like one of the best YouTubers. I still think she is one of the best YouTubers. And we just thought that like the quality would be like some of the best quality we've ever seen. And I do have to say the palette is one of my favorite palettes of all time. So it's just kind of sad to see the brand go. I'd like to know if you guys are sad about that too. If you like Tati doll or not. Definitely interested in that. This next person, I don't like at all. I used to like, and then I got a brain, and then I stopped liking them. That is Jeffree Star. So Jeffree Star Cosmetics is a brand founded by Jeffree Star. And this brand has been around for a long time. They've produced lots of products. They've collaborated with lots of people. And they've been in a lot of hot water for a long time. So I want to go back to where it all started with Jeffree Star. So in the early 2000s, Jeffree launched a brand called Lipstick Nazi. Fans brought back images of this brand in 2020 and called Jeffree out for using slurs and for kind of using the Nazi name as if it were a good thing, which we all know is not a good thing. In 2004, Jeffree was caught on camera using racial slurs. A video was posted in 2016 of this incident showing Jeffree racially abusing women in the streets, which is a really disturbing video if you've ever seen it. It kind of like bothers me. I mean, obviously, it bothers me watching it because of how like disgusting that behavior is. In 2006, Jeffree made a video where he said he would splash battery acid on a black woman's face if she wasn't wearing the right shade of foundation, which like, who thinks that way? Like, how insane is this? Like, that should have been our like starting, hello, there's something not right here. In 2007, Jeffree released a music video where he featured lots of problematic lyrics and included the N-word, which this has been discussed many times after all of this stuff has gone down. 2010, Jeffree did an interview with Red River Noise, and in the interview, he said several inappropriate things and said that Pink was a effing dirty lesbian. In 2016, Jeffree got into an argument with Makeup Shayla on Twitter. The two went back and forth for some time. He said abusive things to her. She kind of snapped back. I think she snapped back in a polite yet kind of still aggressive way. And it just went on and on until they just stopped talking and they blocked each other, and that was that. Jeffree's friendship also ended with Kat Von D during this time and was followed by a video of Jeffree stating that she wasn't a true friend anyway, and this was not a loss to him in the slightest, which this was kind of a big shocker to a lot of people because they had been such good friends for a long time. Jeffree was featured on Kat Von D's tattoo show that was on TLC at the time. They were really good friends. He had named a lipstick after her, and to see their relationship die out was kind of upsetting to a lot of people. They kind of were very surprised to see it happen. In 2017, Jackie Aina posted an anti-haul where she said she couldn't support Jeffree Star Cosmetics due to Jeffree's previous actions surrounding Black women. Nothing wrong with that. She's allowed to have her own opinion. She's allowed to not support brands if she doesn't feel she agrees with their values and beliefs and things that the owners have done in the past. I mean, I don't support Too Faced because of things Jared Blandino has said to people in the past. So she's allowed to feel exactly how she wants to feel, especially if she feels like she's being racially attacked just for being a Black woman. Like, that's not okay. Jeffree then responded by calling her a irrelevant rat, which, according to the internet, rat seems to be a racially derogative term used toward Black women. I haven't really seen like how or why, but it just seems to be, so that it's not okay, obviously. Like, we shouldn't be calling people rats anyway, especially when they've done nothing wrong to you. She's just saying she's not supporting your brand anymore. Like, that's not reason for you to attack her verbally online. In 2018, Jeffree was called out for cultural appropriation over a video shoot with Jeffree Star Cosmetics. Jeffree was seen wearing cornrows for the photo shoot. Meanwhile, Nikita Dragun appeared in a video shoot looking much darker than she is. So we know this isn't okay. A lot of people called her out for that, and it just kind of like didn't really go anywhere, which is, you know, unfortunate, because we need to hold them accountable for this so they don't do it again and they learn their lesson. Jeffree Star and Shane Dawson collaborated in 2019 to create the Conspiracy Collection. Shane Dawson was filming a documentary series on his YouTube channel titled The Beautiful World of Jeffree Star. This was the second series of a video documentary that he was doing on Jeffree Star. We had already seen one in the past, and this was the second version of that. Many fans were disappointed after watching the 6-hour series, only to find it to be an ad for the Conspiracy Collection that Shane had created. Lots of people were very upset about this because they were so invested in the video. There was talks about being drama featuring James Charles in the video, and everything was just glazed over to be an ad for you to buy this palette. I bought the palette, and I'm ashamed to say I did, because I feel stupid and very like I was taken advantage of, and people who buy makeup, consumers, do not like to feel that way. Not long after this launch began the feud between James Charles, Tati Westbrook, Shane Dawson, and Jeffree Star. So lots of people really do not like Jeffree Star for these actions. Jeffree's come out with some controversial palettes in the past. He came out with a palette revolving out with the cremation palette right in the middle of when people were passing on from the virus we're currently dealing with. Just poor timing, and I feel like he sort of took advantage of this poor timing and went with it and just thought, oh, people are talking about me. That's great. And just because people are talking about you doesn't mean it's a good thing and you should be doing the things you're doing. People are talking about you because you're doing bad things. Like, don't you get that? Like, that should be clicking through your head. Like, I don't understand. Next up is Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics. So Jaclyn Hill is a popular YouTuber here on YouTube. I don't know why I keep saying it that way. We all know if she's a YouTuber, she's on YouTube. She has been around for quite a long time. A lot of people really liked her for her beauty videos where she talked about makeup. She showed you how to put on the makeup. She's very good at showing tutorials of how to do your makeup, how to do different looks, and really how to like make yourself look different, but in a make yourself feel pretty. I feel like that's kind of a good way to describe Jaclyn Hill. A lot of people kind of got upset with Jaclyn over some of the things that have happened revolving makeup with her, which is funny to like say it that way, but honestly, like, she's done some stuff involving makeup launches that people have been really upset with over the past. So in 2015, Jaclyn released a Champagne Pop highlighter with Becca Cosmetics. The collaboration launched Becca's brand and put Jaclyn on the map, allowed people to really see that Jaclyn was this influential makeup user. She could put on makeup really well. She could talk about makeup. Like, people really found that she was easy to listen to, that she knew what she was doing. She knew what she was talking about. And this kind of was the first collaboration with a brand that was sold in stores that people who weren't on YouTube knew about this person. Like, it was the first time you saw a name and you were like, I don't know who that is. Who are they working with? Because this isn't like a celebrity like Angelina Jolie or Beyonce. This is some random person. Who is she and why is she collaborating with this brand? Like, people were really interested in this. The brand did really well with this launch, and a lot of people were wanting to see more from Jaclyn, especially because she was so popular at the time on YouTube. In 2016, the Champagne Pop collection was released in collaboration with Jaclyn. Production was transferred from America to China to give the company more time to create the products, give them a chance to create more products, and have it be done in a way cheaper method than how it would have been done in America. And a lot of people found that the quality of the eyeshadow palette that had been made over in China was very low compared to what they were expecting from the brand. They were so used to the formula from the initial launches that they thought that the eyeshadow palette should have been better quality, and the way Jaclyn talked about it seemed like it would be better quality. Many fans called out Jaclyn because of this and wanted an answer from her on what the issue was. Jaclyn went back and forth, saying that she didn't have control over the palette and that she didn't know why the palette wasn't doing well. And many people kind of suspect that she got a palette that worked really well and everyone else got the palettes that didn't. So she didn't really see a problem in these palettes. She just saw what she was using and thought, there's nothing wrong with this. What are people complaining about? They ended up canceling the palette and just released a face palette and some other products within the launch. They didn't do the eyeshadow palette. They just kind of canned it after influencers had posted that it was like a horrible eyeshadow palette. In 2018, Jaclyn released her much anticipated Vault collection with Morphe. This collection featured 4 10-pan palettes with shades that were from the first Jaclyn Hill palette that weren't released with the initial palette. So these were all the leftover shades, as she mentioned, which 40 shadows is a lot of shadows to have left over from a palette. Like, you really had that much thought. Like, she really put that thought into this palette. And I can't say there's anything wrong with that. It's just very excessive to me. Fans were eager to get their items because a lot of people really liked the first palette with Jaclyn. They knew that she had a special formula. It was a vegan formula. And they just kind of figured it'd be the exact same thing as the original one, just with different colors. And a lot of these palettes had different color stories that were kind of unique at the time and stuff that a lot of people didn't have in their own collection. So they were really excited to get these and see how good the palettes were. And at the time, Morphe was still a good quality brand. People really supported the brand and wanted to buy from the brand. So this was like a match made in heaven, was to do a part 2 and feature Jaclyn and use shadows that everybody knew and loved. Or so they thought. Morphe delayed the launch, stating that some of the shades didn't meet their standards and would need to be reformulated before being sold. So this was about in, I would say, August, and this was when the palette was supposed to be being launched, or the Vault collection was supposed to be being launched, but it didn't. This announcement came after several influencers reviewed the palettes and found the shades to be patchy and hard to blend. People were quick to point out these issues in a collaboration with Becca Cosmetics in 2016. So backtracking to 2015, Jaclyn released her first palette with Morphe. It was the Jaclyn Hill Volume 1 palette. This palette had a specific formula that Jaclyn created that was only intended to be used for her. They even had a contract drawn up to say that this was going to be a Jaclyn-specific formula. Nobody else could use it. It was only for her and when these products had her name on them. In 2020, Jaclyn announced a second palette with Morphe called the Jaclyn Hill Volume 2 palette. And I know I'm kind of jumping around a little bit, but it makes sense, and I think you'll understand it once I kind of, get that out there. There were no issues with the first palette, so people, didn't have faults there. But there were other problems after, if that makes sense. Several people claim that their palettes were expired or sold too close to the expiration date for them to be comfortable with. It also said that this palette was not vegan, which was something that Jaclyn had pushed from the beginning, which I mentioned with the first Jaclyn Hill palette. Jaclyn also came under heat when people began to notice a difference in the formula between the original Jaclyn Hill palette and a new released version of this palette. This all came out kind of at the same time. I believe she released the new palette, the Volume 2 palette, around the same time that the Jaclyn Hill Volume 1 palette was being re-released. I bought a palette off of Poshmark, I believe, and I haven't noticed any issues, so I can't tell if I got the new or the old one. I think it's the old one, like the good one, but I'm not really sure about that. A lot of people were really upset with the inconsistencies of the palettes, and I will post the video in the description box, the link for the video of Jen Love's reviews talking about the old version of the palette and a new version of the palette that her sister-in-law had bought, and was talking about the inconsistencies and how they were totally different palettes, even though they were being sold as the exact same thing. So this was a lot of drama with Jaclyn that the brand that Morphe and Jaclyn had kind of lied to consumers just to get more money. Like, just put out the palette that people want and you won't have any issues. Like, there's no reason for this to be like two separate palettes. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of weird to me. In 2019, Jaclyn announced the release of her first product under the name Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics. She posted a video to YouTube saying that she would be releasing a collection of 20 nude lipsticks. She claimed to have been working on this release since 2014 to create these lipsticks and was eager to hear the opinions of her fans and followers. Many fans and YouTubers blasted Jaclyn Hill on Twitter for the lack of quality in these lipsticks. Concerns range from hairs and fibers to metal shards and strange bubbles being found in the lipsticks. I'll also link the Raw Beauty Christie video link down in the description box. It is a fascinating video. It is one of the best makeup videos I have ever seen. Like, to go that in depth and to really showcase the problems with these products is like mind-blowing. Like, she should get all the money for doing that video. Like, that is what everybody has been wanting to see since these lipsticks were released. Jaclyn, she had a really bad response to this video and to the response that other people were having regarding the lipsticks. She said that the issue was due to gloves being used that contained fibrous materials, and said that there was just an issue with the lab and it was not her fault. There was nothing that she did wrong, so she shouldn't be held accountable for this. And a lot of people were very upset about this because they found that it was another case where Jaclyn was just kind of pushing things under the radar, making it somebody else's problem, not holding herself accountable, not giving answers to people, not really allowing people to understand what was going on, which kind of left people with a lot more questions than answers, and kind of left people wondering, were we going to keep getting bare minimum products that, like, some were good, some were bad, some had metal shards that could rip our lips to shreds when we use them? Like, people really didn't trust Jaclyn, and now she's released a jewelry collection. I believe it's jewelry or perfume. I think it's jewelry. And a lot of people are kind of hesitant to support that because they know the quality of Jaclyn's products in the past. They know the reputation that Jaclyn has, and she kind of lies to people. She doesn't really tell the truth. She doesn't really own up to her mistakes. And I feel like a lot of people are really upset by that, because if you made a mistake, own up to it and fix it. That it's not that hard. Like, you don't have to beat around the bush and just like, well, it wasn't my problem. Somebody else did this. Somebody else told me this. I don't really know the situation. You know the situation, Jaclyn. Tell people. Tell people what happened. Fix the problem. Give people their money back. Send out new product. Take the L and just deal with it. I think that's a lot of people's problems when they come out with makeup brands and makeup products as a whole, is that they don't know how to take accountability when something goes wrong. Stuff is bound to go wrong. We understand that. We're willing to deal with that and wait longer if it takes. We're willing to wait for you to correct it and get the correct product, even if it takes a long time. Like, we're understanding. We're not like difficult people. Yeah, we'll be a little upset, but we'll get over it. Like, give us good products, not products that are going to rip our lips off. Like, oh my gosh. I knew I'd get all heated, so I saved Jaclyn for last because I always get heated when I talk about Jaclyn Hill. I really hope you guys like this video. It was definitely a different video. I like doing videos where I get to discuss brands and kind of their faults and mistakes and potentially what could be done to correct them. I think a lot of these are just change the ownership, which kind of can't be done when it's like Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics. You can't change ownership because you have to change the name. Like, Kat Von D is now Kindness Vegan Beauty something something. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you really have to change the whole brand. You might as well be making a new brand at that point. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Let me know any other brands or influencer brands that you'd like to hear me talk about. This was definitely an interesting topic. I'd love to do more research. So let me know any ideas you have in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Ring that notification bell down below so you get notified on when I upload the next video. See you guys then. Bye.